Ever wondered why stars run away from the spotlight? From iconic legends to modern favorites, their exits shock the world. Stick around as we dive into the stories of 10 celebrities who vanished from Hollywood forever and never looked back. Greta Garbo. Her name alone conjures images of smoky eyes and silent film glamour. But this Swedish-born star didn't just fade from Hollywood. She slammed the door shut and never reopened it. Known for classics like Ninotchka and Camille, Garbo was a goddess of the silver screen in the 1920s and 30s. Her mysterious aura and sultry voice made her a global sensation. But by 1941, at just 36, she was done. Garbo's exit wasn't gradual. After her final film, Two-Faced Woman, flopped with critics, she walked away without a backward glance. Hollywood begged her to return, producers sent scripts, studios offered fortunes, but she wasn't having it. "I want to be alone," her famous line from Grand Hotel, became her life's mantra. She moved to New York City, living in a modest apartment far from the glitz of Los Angeles. Friends said she was tired of the industry's demands, the constant scrutiny of her looks, and the pressure to stay perfect. Garbo wanted freedom, not fame. She spent her days walking Manhattan streets, often in big sunglasses and a scarf, dodging paparazzi like a pro. She never married, never had kids, and rarely gave interviews. Her life became a fortress of privacy, and she liked it that way. By the time she passed in the 1990s, Garbo had become a myth, a star who chose solitude over stardom. Her story shows that even the brightest lights can choose to dim themselves, leaving Hollywood to chase its next obsession. But if Garbo's exit was quiet, the next star's departure was a bold statement against the industry itself. Sean Connery. The man who made James Bond a legend didn't just leave Hollywood, he practically scoffed at it on his way out. With his rugged charm and Scottish growl, Connery defined 007 in films like Dr. No and Goldfinger, becoming a global icon. But by 2003, after a string of hits and misses, he was done with the whole circus. His final film, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, was a mess. Behind-the-scenes drama, a bloated budget, and a script that frustrated everyone. Connery, then in his 70s, didn't hold back. He called the production a nightmare and hinted that modern Hollywood had lost its spark. "I'm fed up with the idiots," he reportedly said, and that was that. He packed up, moved to the Bahamas, and never acted again. Studios tried to lure him back. Spielberg wanted him for Indiana Jones. Bond producers dangled cameos. But Connery was living his best life, golfing, relaxing by the sea, and laughing off the offers. He didn't need the money or the fame. Friends said he found peace in privacy, far from the industry's chaos. When he passed in 2020, fans mourned the loss of a titan, but his exit taught us something. Even the coolest guy in the room can walk away when he's had enough. Connery's departure was a power move, but the next star story is about choosing family over fame. Rick Moranis. The nerdy, lovable guy from Ghostbusters and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was everyone's favorite 80s dad. His quick wit and goofy charm made him a comedy staple, but in the late 1990s, Moranis did something Hollywood rarely sees. He chose his kids over his career. After his wife Anne passed away from breast cancer in 1991, Moranis was left to raise their two young children alone. He kept acting for a bit, starring in hits like Little Giants. But the grind of Hollywood, long shoots, constant travel, was pulling him away from his family. By 1997, made a choice. He stepped back. No big announcement, no dramatic farewell. He just stopped taking roles. Fans begged for his return, but Moranis was happy in New York, raising his kids and living quietly. He popped up occasionally, like a 2020 commercial with Ryan Reynolds, but made it clear he wasn't coming back to Hollywood. His story is a reminder that sometimes the biggest role you play isn't on a screen. And while Moranis chose family, the next celebrity craved something else: total privacy. Bridget Fonda. She was everywhere in the 90s, lighting up screens in films like Single White Female and Jackie Brown. With her girl-next-door charm and a famous last name, yep, she's part of the Fonda acting dynasty, she seemed destined for a long Hollywood career. But by 2002, she vanished, leaving fans scratching their heads and wondering where she went. Fonda's exit wasn't sparked by a scandal or a flop. After her last role in a TV movie Snow Queen, she just stopped. No press release, no big goodbye. She was done. Reports say a serious car accident in 2003 played a part, leaving her with injuries that shifted her priorities. Around the same time, she married composer Danny Elfman and started focusing on family life. Hollywood kept calling, but Fonda wasn't picking up. When paparazzi spotted her years later, she looked happy, living a low-key life in Los Angeles. She told reporters she had no interest in acting anymore. "I'm good," she said, brushing off questions about a comeback. Friends said she craved normalcy, raising her son, gardening, staying out of the spotlight. The glitz of red carpets and movie sets, not her thing anymore. Fonda's disappearance reminds us that some stars don't need fame to feel complete. She traded Hollywood's chaos for a quiet life, and she's never looked back. But while Fonda slipped away silently, the next star's exit was just as understated, yet marked by a surprising second act. Gene Hackman. This guy's a legend, plain and simple. With 2 Oscars under his belt for The French Connection and Unforgiven, Hackman was the kind of actor who could steal a scene with a single look. His gravelly voice and everyman grit made him a star for decades. But in 2004, he walked away from Hollywood without so much as a wave. His last film, Welcome to Mooseport, wasn't exactly a blockbuster, but Hackman didn't leave because of failure. He was 74, and after a health scare involving his heart, he decided he'd had enough. "I just didn't want to do it anymore," he later told interviewers. No drama, no fuss. He moved to New Mexico with his wife Betsy and started a whole new chapter, writing novels. His quiet exit shows that even the biggest stars can find something more fulfilling than fame. Hackman traded the screen for a typewriter, but the next celebrity swapped rom-coms for a life behind the camera. Meg Ryan, America's sweetheart of the 90s, made us all believe in love with When Harry Met Sally and Sleepless in Seattle. Her sunny smile and quirky charm defined romantic comedies, but by the early 2000s, she started fading from view. Hollywood's darling didn't just step back, she practically disappeared. And the reasons are a mix of personal choice and industry pressure. Ryan's career was red hot until her 2003 film In the Cut, a gritty thriller that tanked with critics and audiences. The media didn't help, obsessing over her personal life, especially her divorce from Dennis Quaid, and rumors of an affair. Ryan got tired of the tabloid circus. "I felt like I was under a microscope," she said years later. The roles coming her way also started to change. Fewer lovable heroines, more mom parts she wasn't ready for. Now in her 60s, Ryan seems at peace, living life on her terms. She said she loves the freedom of staying out of the spotlight. Her story is proof that even the biggest stars can choose a quieter path when the industry's glare gets too bright. And while Ryan redefined herself, the next celebrity stepped away to focus on family and new ventures. Cameron Diaz. She was the golden girl of the 90s and 2000s, bursting onto the scene with that megawatt smile in the mask and stealing hearts in There's Something About Mary and Charlie's Angels. Diaz was Hollywood's go-to for charm and charisma, but in 2018, she dropped a bombshell. She was retiring. Just like that, one of the biggest stars of her generation was out. Motherhood became her priority after welcoming her daughter in 2019 and son in 2020. The constant travel and long hours of film sets didn't fit with her new life. Diaz said she found more joy in being present for her kids than chasing another blockbuster. She stayed out of the spotlight entirely for years, trading red carpets for quiet nights at home. In 2024, she dipped her toe back with a role in Back in Action alongside Jamie Foxx. But she's been clear it's a one-off, not a comeback. Diaz's exit shows you can have it all: fame, fortune, and still choose to walk away for something that feels more real. But while Diaz left for family, the next star's disappearance was shaped by deeper struggles. Shelley Duvall. Her wide-eyed vulnerability and quirky charm made her unforgettable in The Shining and Popeye. With her distinctive look and raw talent, Duvall was a standout in the 70s and 80s, often working with directors like Robert Altman. But by the early 2000s, she was gone from Hollywood, leaving behind a legacy and a lot of questions. Duvall's departure wasn't a clean break. She'd faced personal and mental health challenges for years, which she later spoke about openly. After her last major role in 2000's Manna from Heaven, she moved to Texas, living a reclusive life far from the industry's glare. Friends said she struggled with the pressures of fame and the toll of intense roles like Wendy Torrance in The Shining. The media scrutiny didn't help. Tabloids often painted her as eccentric or unstable. She made a brief return in 2003 with a small role in the indie film The Forest Hills. But it was clear her heart wasn't in Hollywood anymore. Duvall passed away in 2024, leaving a legacy of courage for speaking out about mental health. Her story reminds us that sometimes stepping away is about survival, not surrender. The next star's exit, though, was a choice made at the peak of youth. Jane Withers. She was the Shirley Temple of the less polished set, a child star whose spunky energy lit up the 1930s and 40s in films like Bright Eyes and The Mad Martindales. With her big eyes and bigger personality, Withers was a box office draw. But at just 21, she did what most child stars don't. She quit Hollywood for a normal life. Withers' decision wasn't about burnout or scandal. She'd grown up in the spotlight, starting her career at age 3, and by her late teens, she was ready for something else. After her final major role in 1947 Danger Street, she married, moved to Texas, and focused on raising her 5 children. Hollywood kept calling, producers wanted her for grown-up roles, but Withers wasn't interested. "I wanted to be a real person," she later said. Withers passed away in 2021 at 95, remembered as a star who chose happiness over Hollywood's hustle. Her story is a rare one, a child actor who left on her own terms and never looked back. And while Withers walked away young, the next star vanished after a TV empire defined his career. David Caruso. With his steely blue eyes and signature sunglasses, he was the king of TV crime dramas, first as John Kelly on NYPD Blue, and later as Horatio Kane on CSI Miami. His one-liners, delivered with that trademark head tilt, made him a household name. But in 2012, when CSI Miami ended, Caruso didn't just leave the show, he left Hollywood entirely, and he hasn't been back since. Caruso's exit was as low-key as his on-screen persona was intense. After a decade of leading one of TV's biggest hits, he didn't sign up for another series or chase movie roles. Instead, he moved to Florida and turned his focus to art and business ventures. Friends say he was done with the Hollywood grind, the long hours, the media scrutiny, the pressure to stay relevant. "I'm happy where I am," he told a rare interviewer who tracked him down years later. His departure surprised fans, especially since he'd fought hard for his second act. Caruso famously left NYPD Blue early in its run, betting on a movie career that fizzled out, only to rebound spectacularly with CSI Miami. But this time, he wasn't gambling on a comeback. He started an art gallery, dabbled in real estate, and kept his life private, avoiding the spotlight that once defined him. When paparazzi occasionally spot him, he's unrecognizable from his TV days. No red hair, no shades, just a guy living quietly. Caruso's story shows that even the toughest on-screen cops can choose a softer life off-screen. He walked away from fame and found something else to call home, proving that sometimes the best exit line is silence. Thanks for sticking with us through these incredible stories. If you were surprised by any of these exits or have your own thoughts on why stars vanish, drop them in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive into Hollywood's mysteries. See you in the next one.